Kroger Delivery has one mission: to deliver the freshest food right to your door. That's why our drivers are pros. Our trucks are refrigerated. And when it comes to low prices, we always deliver. With $20 off your first order of $75 or more, there's no better time to get in on the action. Mission accomplished. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
We know you have a lot on your holiday to-do list. And at the UPS Store, we're here to help. With our pack and ship guarantee, your gifts will arrive intact or you'll be reimbursed. Got holiday cards to print? We're also the premier printing store. We've got everything you need for every way you holiday. Visit the upsstore.com/guarantee for full details. Most locations are independently owned. Product, services, prices, and hours of operation may vary. See Center for details. The UPS Store. Be unstoppable. Come into your local store today.
Hey, I'm Amanda from Trifecta Fitness. We're proud to be Clarksville's new Get Fit headquarters. Trifecta Fitness is a state-of-the-art spin and strength training studio. Our spin studio is truly one of a kind in this area, complete with 20 state-of-the-art live fitness bikes and an incredible sound system. Our strength training is done in small groups of 6 or fewer, and all of our strength and spin classes are scalable for every level of experience. Come see us in the heart of Clarksville, just behind MAPCO at the corner of Old Trenton Road and Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Call us for more info at 931-542-6265 or download our Trifecta Fitness app for a full list of upcoming classes.
In October 2019, Arlington, Texas was chosen to be the home of a new national museum, unlike any other. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a unique home of military history. The 100,000 square foot museums will house exhibits, archives, and artifacts relating to the 3,500 U.S. troops who have been awarded the medal, the nation's highest honor for valor in combat. The museum will have 31,000 square feet of galleries dedicated to U.S. troops who have received the award. The museum CEO, former Navy SEAL and NASA astronaut Chris Cassidy, said the museum will focus on education as much as preservation. The building will have 5 areas dedicated to Medal of Honor winners from the Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. The main gallery will be located in a central plaza under a 25,000 square foot slab of steel, which will appear to be suspended in midair. It will be supported by 5 pillars. Black Rifle Coffee is a corporate sponsor of the museum, as are the Dallas Cowboys. The museum's board also includes over a dozen major corporations and 6 Medal of Honor recipients, including David Bellavia, Patrick Brady, and Britt Slabinski. Army Staff Sergeant Bellavia was awarded the medal for clearing an entire house by himself on November 10, 2004, as a squad leader in support of Operation Phantom Fury in Fallujah, Iraq. He killed 4 enemy fighters and wounded a 5th in close quarters battle. Army Major General Brady flew and coordinated the evacuation of 51 seriously wounded men during a firefight in Vietnam in January 1968. Slabinski, a Navy SEAL chief and team leader, led a rescue team of SEALs during Operation Anaconda in Afghanistan in March 2002. Slabinski and his team flew to a mountaintop ambush site to rescue Petty Officer First Class Neil Roberts, who had fallen from the back of a helicopter. Slabinski led the team through almost constant combat against an entrenched Taliban force. Along with the board members, former presidents Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama serve as honorary directors. The museum is expected to open to the public in late 2024.
All right. Welcome back. MisFitNation. We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their story to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with MisFitNation. If you're a musician or actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share some of your tips with the MisFitNation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you're a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, Come on and share how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and just share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or are embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you're a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast apps and also on our YouTube channel at @_Misfit Nation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date with our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show. All right. Welcome back to our Take It Home Thursday episode tonight, the Misfit Nation live on all our socials and of course About Face Radio. Thanks to Adam Baum for passing it over to us and having a safe ride back home from the station. Tonight's another, just as the other night we had a shout out to my better half for her birthday. Tonight we have a shout out to our resident hillbilly, Jake Holland's wife, Mickey, for her birthday tomorrow. Mickey, you have a great day tomorrow. Make sure Jake takes care of you and does everything he's supposed to do. Tonight on our show, we have an awesome dude. I just read his book. You're going to love listening to him. He's also from Jersey, so we have that link together. He's a Jesus follower, a serial entrepreneur. He's an author, keynote speaker, Spain aficionado, aspiring paella chef, Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt, and Spanish coffee addict. He lives in northern Colorado with his wife and 2 children. He exists to inspire and ignite entrepreneurs to own and live their lives and business with excellence. So without further ado, let's welcome Matt Shoup to the Misfit Nation. Welcome, Matt.
Rich, thanks for having me. How are you today?
I'm doing great, brother. It's great to finally get this thing going. As we're talking in the green room, we've had a lot of swings and misses to get this thing going, but I think we're going to hit a home run tonight.
I hope so. I know we will. And yeah, we've had a lot of life go on, I think, with both of us. So I am happy to be here with your audience, and you would love what you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you. I just gave, your quick blurb about Matt. So if you don't mind, give us a little bit more about Matt from as far back as you want to go to how we got to where we are today.
It's funny. I turned 42 here on Sunday, and I'm looking back to the environment and the story I have and the things I experienced. And I just sit here and there's no way that God couldn't have been involved in this story. I should be dead. I should be in prison. I should be disappeared somewhere. I grew up, I got bullied a lot on the playgrounds in New Jersey, was super smart, super creative, really good at math and school. I get done with all that pretty quickly. And I just got in trouble a lot, and I hung out with troublemakers. And while I'm doing that, and nobody's really leaning into this, hey, this guy's creative, nobody knew about this entrepreneurial thing, I was getting in a lot of trouble, and was really fearful of the world, just from catching whoopings, 80s New Jersey playground. There's a lot of that going on. And I knew where I fit in the pecking order. And our family ended up moving to northern Colorado. So we totally changed the environment, the scenery. And I land here in Loveland, Colorado. I'm 10 years old. And I asked my parents for a couple $100s for a boombox. Remember the CDs came out in the 90s, and everybody had their boombox. And they said, we're not going to give you money. Find a way to go make your own. And I had the whole summer ahead of me. I didn't know anybody. I had just gotten into town. I was cutting their grass for $4 a week. So I took the lawnmower, started walking down the street, knocking on doors, and just found I had the gift of gab and storytelling and asking for things. And a little old lady paid me $15 or $20 to cut her grass, and then said, come back next week, do it again. And I was onto something. So that was my intro into business and entrepreneurship and marketing, and just, having a desire and a goal for something and going after it. And it really gave me a deeper sense of purpose and confidence and belonging. And then I'd go back to school and get beat up, So it was I want to do this business thing. All right, let's get to school, figure out how to finish school as quickly as possible so I can go work and make money. And I would say, on the not so healthy side, money became kind of an idol. I figured, hey, the more of it I can have, the more of it I can make, the more worth I'll have as a person. And that's not always a good thing, right? It was a fuel and a motivation for my business, but that's where it all started. And I sit here today. We've got 6 companies in northern Colorado. I guess the claim to fame per se was back in 2005. I went from little kid hustling up lawn mowing, snow shoveling, candy bars, magazine sales, started working hourly jobs. And then I found myself at a corporate bank after 4 years at Colorado State University. And I worked for a college painting company for those 4 years, learning about business and marketing and sales. And I leave college. I go, I'm not going to paint anymore. It's not a real glamorous business. It's not sexy. I made really good money, but I spent more than I made, a lot more. And I'm 2005 suit and tie in a corporate conservative bank in northern Colorado, slinging mortgages, right? Like back in those days when the BC paper kind of hack shop boiler room, taking advantage of people, no income, no asset loans. All these guys and gals are doing these things, and I'm hearing about it. And the bank's like, you can't do that. So they fired me. They fired me March of 2005. Was recently married, was 6 figures in debt, had $100 left to my name, and literally got kicked out of a bank. Guy called me and said, go put all your shit in a box, get out, you're fired. And like, that was the beginning of a fun, crazy, exciting journey to where we are today.
Outstanding. And I listened to that story, and I listened to your book on Audible so I can drive and do it. I made a goal to myself to listen to more books while I'm driving instead of blasting the radio the whole time. So that book fell in right in line to just link up right till this week. So as I was driving out to go work with soldiers, I'd listen to it in the field and until right before missions and heard that story. Man, that's a heartbreaker, but also it was the moneymaker for you. It was the one that set you apart and made you realize what you had to do in life. And my brother in the chat here, after you said troublemakers in Jersey, he had to say troublemakers like the host, because he's still in Jersey right now. So
you got it, Stephen. That's right.
And he's still in Jersey now. He hit me in the face with a skateboard as a child. He's calling me a troublemaker. So
yeah. Jersey was fun. It was funny. We moved from Jersey to Colorado, and it was just different. What went on in Jersey did not go on in Colorado.
Yeah, totally different worlds, but at least you kept your entrepreneurial spirit. We both had little businesses growing up in New Jersey too. I had this snow shoveling market I had for our neighborhood. I had that, me and my little buddy. Made people sign contracts as 12-year-olds. It was amazing. So we did that, and then things grew in life, and like you, things grew in life as well. When you started painting business or M&E painting, I don't want to tell the whole story because I want people to buy your book or read your book too. But that's a great story in the book about the painting business as well.
Well, and just, thinking back to that time and thinking back to growing up, it's like I see people, they go through those rough challenges and experiences, and some people, they take that and they let it, kick them and knock them down and keep them down. And all I know and all I've just been doing is just getting back up and keep fighting, keep driving forward and figuring out a way. And there's always a solution, no matter what situation you find yourself in. There's got to be a way. And that's what's gotten me through a lot of this stuff. I mean, we've had ups, downs, business is it's a roller coaster. My author journey, business journey, speaking journey, everything that I've done, the jiu-jitsu has been huge in my life, but it's a journey.
Even the jiu-jitsu story in the book is also, I laughed at it because we learned jiu-jitsu in the Army, and as it went from hand to hand to combatives, which is based off the Gracie methods of jiu-jitsu. And we went through the same trials and tribulations that you did fighting that young kid. And getting your butt handed to you a few times while he laughed at you and rolling on the mat. We went through those same trials and tribulations while trying to go from that hand-to-hand stuff to jiu-jitsu with dudes that already knew how to do it, and getting beat down until you learned how to survive and beat them up too. So it's a wild journey. We didn't get belts though. So.
Different things on the line there. I encourage anybody that hasn't explored jiu-jitsu to do so. It is a sport, an art. It'll meet you right where you are, wherever you are in like your physical journey, a combat type of journey, spiritual journey. It really teaches you how to deal with pressure and adversity and figure out different ways to be patient underneath that and wait for openings and wait for times. And that journey is really translated over to just business and life and just journey as husband, father, man, all of those things. So I'd encourage wherever listeners are to go check a spot out if they can.
Definitely, and I encourage you to. If you learn to roll and not get angry when you get beat, that's a great thing to do, and you become a better person. I think if you can roll and deal with it.
Well, and everybody, I got angry for a little bit when I get beat. I see guys come in now, and it's this anger also mixed with this shock and surprise of, how did this guy or gal just do this to me? This shouldn't be happening.
Exactly. There's no way this little dude just threw me, but he got me, and that's life. So, that's amazing. And we talked in the green room about the art of storytelling, the art of telling your story and being vulnerable on telling the story. A lot of our, like we also talked, a lot of our audience are males, a military background, and there's also a lot of females military background that don't like to share the story because of their shyness, or they don't think other people will understand what they went through. How would you tell them to maybe let that go and tell their story?
Yeah. I think for a lot of different levels, for men, there's some levels, women, there's some levels, but I think just humans in general, I think there's, we live in a society where everybody paints a picture of perfection, and it's really becomes more prevalent as social media advances. Just go scroll through your feed, right? Everything is like, I just saw 3 perfect breakfasts, 4 family vacations, a wedding, a new puppy, like whatever it is, right? Life is amazing, and you just get conditioned, like, logically things aren't perfect, but that's all of the messages that you're getting. And I've always said something, that painting a picture of perfection, it prevents true connection. So where I found in my experience, both in business and life, and just my journey as a man, is when you can open up and share a part of yourself that maybe you have not shared before. You're scared, you're nervous, there's a fear of judgment, and you just go first. You know what? Somebody might judge you. They might go, "That's weird. I don't want to talk about that." Or, I'm going to judge you. I don't want to be in your circle. Like, that's fine. But 95% of the time, that other person, they're relieved. They say, "Really? Like, you're dealing with this? You're struggling with this? Oh, I thought life was great. I didn't know you're going through. Hey, I'm going through something similar right now." And then they open up the door, and then that conversation just gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And again, we're not conditioned to do that. It's very anti-culture. It's anti-everything. And then, right, you lay the stereotypical male dynamic over it, is we've got to be tough. We can't cry. We can't show emotions. And then, right, I have not served, but to the many people that I know who have, they've got that layer, right, of you really can't share that. And these civilians, right, aren't going to understand what we went through. So you have a much smaller circle with, I think, at least what I've experienced and talked to with vets, is maybe even a deeper fear of judgment. Just like, I can't talk to anybody. So yeah, I mean, I have a really funny story. I'd love to jump into it with you of how I figured all this out. And it happened in business, and it happened on a paint job site. Definitely. Back in 2008.
I love this story.
So yeah, you want to dive into that? I'd love to share.
I'd love the audience to hear this one, and this will really get their juices flowing, because it's an amazing story.
Well, and I just hope where anybody sits, right? So maybe you're not a business owner, maybe you're a business owner, but it's not paint contracting. Just overlay this scenario to your life, and I'll try to make it more of some broad comparative analogies. But it's back in 2011. I was 5 years into business with my painting company. So perspective on that, I got fired from that bank. I literally took $100, opened a bank account, knocked on doors, just like I did when I was a little kid. And we grew from nothing to $1 million business in 3 years. We're multi-million in 5. So it's 2010, 2011. And I'm sitting across the table from a really good friend of mine. He's a longtime customer, done tons of work, and I'm about to close the biggest deal of my life in painting. It was a $60,000 contract. So it's like 20 times the size. Just think, whatever you're getting paid with whatever you do, Matt, just multiply that by 20. Like, that was some serious stakes. That's on the line. And I'm sitting there trying to close the deal with all of these slick, creative, crafty closes, right? And Bill's not having it. He just keeps rejecting the contract. And I go, what's going on, man? And I go, what else do you want from me? And he says, Matt, he goes, I know you've done great work for me. I want to know about a time that you screwed up and what you did about it. And it really caught me off guard. I was like, let's try the either or close, right? Like, let's try all these creative ways where I'm going to get him to say yes and do business. And he just stops me dead in my tracks. And I'd never been asked that before, right? Like, in what part of life and business do you go out and lead or share a mistake, hoping that somebody's going to reply, reciprocate, do business with you? And I said, well, we painted the wrong color on a house once, and like, that's not a big deal. That happens frequently. And I said, we painted the wrong house once. We actually had the right color. We went to the wrong house. So I was like, but when I did that, he leaned in a little bit, and I said, hold on a minute. Like, I just opened up, and I still didn't share the big story, but I shared kind of a medium-sized screw up, and he wanted to hear more. So I kind of practiced through, and I tell him, and he's like, well, damn, that's really good. He says, what did you do? How did you handle it? That's a bad day. You literally, somebody came home, you were painting their house. They didn't ask you to. I said, yeah. And he said, I'm still not convinced. I still feel like you've got something better than that. And I said, fine. We painted a baby. And he sits back in his chair and said, you did what? I said, we painted a baby. And it was 3 years earlier. We were on a job site. My painter's getting ready to spray a door with a big high pressure paint sprayer. He's ready to spray the door black. And as he pulls the trigger, there's like a 1 in a million accident that happens where the gun jams. The little spray tip was turned just perfectly to where he pulls the trigger, boom, paint explodes everywhere, all over the house, the concrete landscape. And he didn't realize that behind him was the homeowner. So mama, homeowner, holding her 9-month-old baby. She had come out frequently during the job to admire the job, check it out. And he hears that, that pop, and then, the pistons running on the machine. There's paint everywhere. Then mama's screaming, baby's crying. And I'm not even on the job site. I'm 20 minutes away in the next town. He calls me on the phone, hysterical. His name's Raul. And he's like, Mateo, come quick, hurry. Oh my gosh, I paint the baby. And he hangs the phone up. I'm like, what's going on? I rushed to the job site. And literally we're going on 19 years in business. That was one of the biggest messes, accidents. Like, what do you do? What do you do? So just to put that, back to whoever's listening, maybe you're going through that right now. Maybe recently or years ago, you just had this moment where you're like, I don't know what to do. It was a massive screw up in a relationship, in a business, in a marriage, whatever that is. And you've got to handle it. So we handle it. We fix it. We clean it up. We make it right. It was $3,000 to $4,000 of cleanup. Just the things that got ruined. We had to repaint a lot of the house. They got paint all over it. But at the end of the day, with that mistake, mom and dad, who eventually came home, heard about it, was happy. Baby was okay. But I said, we're not going to put this experience in our client manual. We're not going to ask them to write a Google review about it, because we thought there'd be some judgment there, right? And what I didn't realize is that was the moment that Bill wanted to see from me. Because I tell him this story, and then I'm literally like, all right, he's going to kick me out. I'm out of here as soon as the coffee's over. And he goes, hey, you're the kind of guy I want to do business with. He shakes my hand, signs the contract. And he said, you've always told me what you're made of, and you've showed that to some degree, but I really wanted to know what would happen when something was on the line, right? So he goes, you can say you have integrity, but if that's never tested, do you really have it? I don't know. Never seen you have an opportunity not to have it. You run and hide from painted baby. You don't take care of things. So I leave that experience and went on this journey of trying to understand what exactly happened. And I basically showed up as the real, raw, uncut, unedited, like, here's all the good stuff. Don't stop sharing that. But like, here's the reality of what can happen and what has happened in business, and what I'll do if that does happen. And we started interjecting this storytelling process into our sales process. And it completely changed the business. It raised our closing rate. It deepened connections with clients and the people we serve. And then, people internally within the company, they start opening up and becoming more vulnerable. It was a contagiousness that happened. Yeah. And then we did a big marketing campaign. We grabbed my daughter, we splattered her with paint, put her on bus stops, bus benches. She's on the cover of the book. And she's 13 now, almost 13. And that was, about 10 years ago when we did that campaign. So she gets a little royalty. If you buy a book, it'll go to her wedding or her college. I think it's wedding before college though.
The wedding is expensive too, so don't worry.
Yeah. So no, I just, at the end of the day, I realized that what Bill did that day is he called me out. He called me out on just being perfect all the time. he challenged me to consider changing my story. And then I committed to doing that. And, the Painted Baby book will really take you through a process of how you capture, craft, and communicate an ideal story where you can show the real raw version of who you are, and how you want that to influence somebody to connect with you at a deeper level.
Definitely. And we also talked in the pre-show about Dave Sanderson, Moments Matter.
Yeah.
His speaking really started with the American Red Cross and his fundraising for them after the miracle on the Hudson there. I met him. I was doing the fellowship at the Red Cross, and part of my job there was to set up the banquet for him to give a speech. So we set it up, and I was his slide flipper, standing next to him. So I got to talk to him before I was hitting the next, and listen to his story. I said, "That's good." And then our executive director, right after that day, she said, "You've seen him speak. Now you're going to start doing these speeches for us." I said, "What?" Yeah. I've never shared my story of military service with anybody, besides my wife, maybe, and some of my friends, but. So I got up in front of an audience and did that. And the first time was like a wave of emotions going through, trying to find that one person that's not going to have the lasers going through my soul.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because there's always that one. It's like you feel like you're getting stripped naked. And I was telling him a story. I just kept thinking how Dave was saying his and how he performed. I said, just tell your story. Just be vulnerable. If they have questions, they're going to ask them. And I wound up doing 3 more for the Red Cross before I started my next job. And I always thought back to the Moments Matter speech he gave. And that's what I based my speeches off of now.
I love that. And, Dave is a great guy. I met him in Atlantic City at an entrepreneurs organization conference. I was there speaking. He was there speaking, and they lined me up to speak right after him. And I'm like, and I'd heard about him, like, because the guy's good. He's done this thousands of times. And so he goes and gives his talk, and I'm sitting there like blown away. And they're like, "Matt, all right, you're up." Oh man, and jumped out there. And I was, I was newer into the speaking world at that time. But yeah, anybody, public speaking, what I've experienced is one of the scariest things that a lot of humans will ever face. And when you're doing that, whether it's a crowd of 2, 5, 10, 10,000, yeah, there'll always be that one that's really engaged. And then the one that you think is throwing daggers, maybe, and maybe they are, some of them do. Like I've had the proverbial tomatoes thrown, and you get I didn't like it. Okay. I get it. But then what's really cool is when you get that one person that comes up and they say, "Hey man, your story changed my life." Or, you talk about the bigger purposes, that stopped me from taking a permanent decision for a temporary problem. And there's power in that. I think everybody has a story to share, whether that's on a stage, in a group, in a book. And I thank Dave a lot for that. He's then introduced me to other great speakers and authors, and he's doing great things in the world, man. So good on you, Rich, for following in that.
Thank you. And hopefully I can build my speaking side after I get these 3 hustles going at once out of the way here. Yeah. To have a little more, I guess, a few minutes more in the day I can work with and do things like that.
Well, and you just keep at it. My journey is still, it's definitely progressing, and it's just putting yourself out there, putting yourself out there for the world to see, finding your niche and who you want to serve. And then not trying to be somebody that you're not up there on the stage or the platform or whatever it is.
Don't try to be an actor. Be yourself.
No.
That's the best thing. One of my former soldiers that I want to, like my little brother here, RJ Bird, he wrote on here. I used to run with him about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning in Afghanistan. So he says the best writer and storyteller he knows, MisFit LaMonica, plenty of running stories. So,
that's all he's going to say. He's not going to share any. He's not going to post any in there.
I share a lot. If he was, he's usually a co-host, but he's been pretty busy doing his coaching and stuff right now. So once he gets back to co-hosting, he'll tell a lot of stories about me too. It's good to have him on my side. Matt, now you also, last week, I think you said you started the Gentle Art of Leadership podcast. Yeah. I know you have a cool studio you built, so you have guests come in there and talk. Yeah. So that'd be great for you to tell us a little more about your podcast so our audience can jump over there and listen to you as well.
Yeah, what I've found is that for me, how I define and see leadership is just simply it's my story and your story coming together to make somebody else's story better. So it's just what we're doing tonight. We're getting out here, we're sitting down, just 2 guys having coffee, having a drink, and just sharing stories and experiences. And how do you overcome adversity? How do you make yourself better first and foremost, so that then you can pass that on to other people? So yeah, Gentle Art of Leadership, it all came about from my time and experience on the jiu-jitsu mats. what I realized being out there is, the first time you step into anything, leadership especially, it is like getting beat up by a kid half your age, half your size. That's what happened to me on the jiu-jitsu mats. But I took that first step. I got a whooping. I realized how deep of a pool that I was in, but I was in it. And there were other people there to support me and teach me what they've learned. And the art and the sport of jiu-jitsu, it's you try to kill each other. Like you and I get together, we're going to roll, we're going to try to choke each other. And then we're going to stop. We're going to hang out. Hey, let me show you how I did that. Let me make you better.
Right.
So Gentle Art of Leadership. Yeah. We bring people out to our building. I have a really highly problematic coffee addiction, but it's really good coffee. So I make them some Spanish coffee. We jump into the studio, sit down for about an hour and just listen to their story and what they've overcome, what they've learned and what they want to share with the world. So really it's just a collection of stories from some very inspiring entrepreneurs, authors, ex-professional athletes, pastors. I mean, we've got some amazing guests coming up, and they leave that show with some really deep, purposeful lessons for the audience.
Outstanding. And I know you're new to it, but I'm sure it's going to skyrocket just like everything else you do. You put your all into it, and you're going to market it correctly and get it out there, and the world's going to be able to absorb those stories and be able to stack their victories as they go through life.
Yeah, it's been really fun. I've loved appearing, and years ago I launched a quick little brief podcast. I didn't do it right. I didn't understand the long game on it, and just wasn't set up for it to continue and succeed. But you talk about Alex, right? Sanfilippo, what he's created with Podmatch guys like that are really paving a way for up and coming guys and gals, right? Just like us that are doing this, and he's been great. We're gonna hang out tomorrow. He's in Colorado.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, he's coming up on the show.
That's a great platform, Podmatch. I'm glad I found it early, and I got a plethora of diverse characters, guests from there from all different walks of life. So it's amazing. Like me and you, I think if I look at the timeline, we were supposed to be February. I think it was our first shot, but I think we actually met probably November the year before. It was our first contact, and that's how Podmatch is. You can get that initial contact. Mm-hmm. One or both of us has to make sure we keep looking.
You swiped the correct way on me, right? Or did I swipe on you? You were like, I had just gotten on the platform, so it was whenever I jumped on there. You were one of the first shows that popped up. I'm like, cool, this sounds great, and yeah, we started talking. We're in August now, so
it works. It worked out, and that's the way it's supposed to work, I think. And I think that's how Alex set it up for everyone. So you can do the long game and be patient. And make sure you both had the perfect time and are able to sit and actually not rush through a show and not rush from show to show and be there together and be genuine on the show.
I love it.
So what's next? You have so much going on. You have your show, you have your book, you have your businesses. What's next for Matt?
Yeah, it's funny. It's I over the years we've been building a lot and starting a lot. One of the things I'm really looking at a point in my life where there's this, addition by subtraction. So we have a company right now that we are listing for sale. It's a little drywall repair tool. It repairs knockdown drywall texture, and it's had a great run. We took it from an idea on a napkin to a patented, profitable product. And we're realizing like, hey, we don't have what the business needs to get it to that next level. So we want that story to continue. So like we got that going on. My big passion with all of this, it's like if you go to my website, you go to mattshoup.com, tons of free resources. That's why we have the podcast, all of the free tools, books. But then what I've been really dreaming about for years is taking groups of business leaders over to Spain on leadership retreats and adventures. So I'm getting ready to hike 72 miles over 6 days with 7 men. We're going over to hike these Camino de Santiago, the last little section of it, and really just enjoy that beautiful scenery and time together in Spain. But then we're really going to be digging into the leadership concepts that I talk about in Gentle Art of Leadership, and really dig into their stories and help them with where they're stuck, where they're struggling, and help them get recentered and refocused on things.
Outstanding. And we have a question from the audience here. What's one of the more shocking stories that you have heard?
Ooh, good. In terms of what? I mean, I've heard a lot of shocking stories. Gosh, just in general or in business?
In general, I'm guessing, since you left it kind of vague.
One of the most shocking stories I've heard. Let me think about that, or Jake, maybe shoot over maybe more specifically what you're thinking about.
Just text him, see. But yeah, he probably.
I saw. I can tell you. I can jump in. I saw a guy get gored at the running of the bulls.
Ooh.
Jake, if that helps, we were in a tour group. We did a family summer in Spain, and we did a northern Spain tour. And we stopped. It was my wife and I. Kids were tiny, and I was going to run. And we were with a tour group. There was a big gentleman, another American guy, like 6'6", big white Santa Claus beard. He's like 300 pounds. He's like, I'm going to go run today. And I said, well, I'm going to watch you. If you can make it, then I'll run. And his wife's with him. Yeah. So he goes out the door, kind of walks up, and then you see, big 6'6" Santa Claus running by, the bulls chasing him. And that pass by from the balcony is very short. So then we all go into this apartment. Literally, somebody lets you come into their apartment. They make you breakfast, and we're watching the rest of the run on TV. And about 20 seconds later, they're like, oh, somebody's been gored. Yes, it looks like an American. And this guy's laid out on national TV with got the horn through and through. And his wife, that's right when his wife finds out that it's him. We were standing right next to her. So that was a very shocking thing to see and be a part of. And it was kind of crazy. So then I look over at Emily. I'm like, yeah, we'll just watch.
It's a good idea. Just watch this one, and we can watch on TV. Yeah, Jake said he feels that, and he also said in business is what he's referring to.
Man, in business, I think the most shocking thing that I went through is pretty frustrating. We had a pretty high dollar embezzlement from our painting company. We had about a $50,000 embezzlement, which was kind of crazy. You'd be surprised in the contracting industry. There's a lot of fights that'll break out, at paint stores, parking lots, and things like that. It becomes less shocking, I guess, because I've been doing this for so long. But I gotta keep thinking, man. I gotta dig on a real shocking business story.
All right, while you're thinking, I'll let you know my godson and his dad are both going to do the Camino this year as well. It's kind of strange that you brought that up. I just talked to them a couple of days ago. They went to India on a trip this year, and my godson, he's the adventurous, so one of the two godsons there. He wants to do the Camino with his dad, so they're going to go over. I want to say the end of this year or maybe February of next year. I can't remember the exact day he said, but when you say Caminos, I know people going there too. That's awesome.
Now they're going to do the whole thing?
No, they're doing a section just like you are.
Yeah. So if the typical kind of the warm up intro to it is you start in Saria. So that's where we're going to take the group. And as long as you walk the last, or maybe it's just a chunk of 100 kilometers, you get a Compostela. So it's a big certificate, and they write your name. It's this message in Latin. It's a really, really big, cool thing. And you get stamps along the way. So every day you get a stamp at a coffee shop, so they know that you've completed that distance. So that's a great start. The whole Camino is a 550 mile, about 30 to 40 day hike.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think my godson will make that yet. He's not there yet, but sure he can do a part.
Yeah, no, it's great. And a lot of people that do that little chunk, they'll come back and do different sections, or they'll come do the whole thing at once. I'd love to do the whole thing with my family. I did the last 100 with my son last year when he was 2 years ago when he was 13. And the girls, though, Emily and Haley, they're like, nah, I don't think they're not going to do that.
We'll go to Spain with you, Dad, but I'm not going to walk that far.
They said we're going to send them to the beach, and then the boys can go walk. That's the setup.
All right. That's about right there. That's the daddy-daughter dance right there.
Yep.
There you go. So have you thought of a business story that you can share with Jake, or is it still escaping you?
Man, I'm just trying to think of shocking.
Sure, he doesn't need world shocking. It could be anything.
One that's recent is the publisher that I worked with on Painted Baby. And they were a huge, fast-growing company, growing and growing, signing up to work with authors in the middle of production of hundreds of books for authors. And we just get a note one day that they ran out of money. CEO disappeared, had spent all the money, had done some very, very not cool things, and left. And these authors are still hanging. I was getting ready to sign to do another book with them. So that was that was pretty shocking. And we still don't know what's in the air. I mean, the value and power of having a story to share and what you have to invest in that from a time standpoint, a money standpoint, however you do it, there's different methods to do it. These guys are just hosed, their story is paused. They don't know where to go, how to get it out. And looking like it was pretty shady what this guy did. Like it wasn't on the up and up. And he resigned, gave a real, go ahead.
Sorry speech.
Yeah, it was a real fake accountability post that everybody called him out on. I think he's a total fraud. And we'll see, but that was pretty crazy. That was probably the most recent shocking one, where when I read that message, I was literally about to click and sign and get rolling on the next book. And I go, okay, well, jaws on the floor, like for hours, just what just happened. Because what sucks about that kind of stuff is, business, there's dollars and cents and money, but man, there's people, there's their livelihoods, their stories, what they've invested, what they've poured into things. And just to see all of that literally just disappear. Thanks, Jake. To see that all disappear, that was super frustrating.
I bet it was. And as an author myself, I probably would have went a little crazy at that point. If I was already in the process with them, to go through that, think about the man hours, human capital I put into it. And like you, for even Penny Baby, you had to reach out to all the people that you told their stories in there and say, hey, can I share? And then all of a sudden it's in that limbo area for X amount of time until that all gets legally cleared up. So that's horrible.
Yeah. And it's only been about 3 or 4 months right now, but yeah, I've talked to some of those authors and it's a bummer, it's a bummer, but they'll figure it out.
Definitely. Another question from RJ Bird here. What's your scariest risk you've taken that's turned out to be a success?
I would say the company that we're selling right now, RJ. Yeah, thanks for asking that. So back in 2010, we got fired from a paint job. We, as a gentleman named David Sward, he and I went to high school together. We were painting together in college, and we're working together with my painting company. 2010, we get fired from a job because we told a customer, oh yeah, we'll take care of that little patch and texture. We were doing interior painting. We knew that inside and out, but we're not drywallers, so we're messing with this patch. We got a little spray can, sprayed the texture, and it looked awful. So we're trying over and over and over because it's a small paint job and we don't want to spend $200 to call a drywaller out, right? To just fix it. It's what we should have done. But it was kind of the best bad day in business that we had, because we are sitting in a burrito shop and we're like, why did these spray cans suck so much? There has to be a way to fix this texture. So he starts sketching on a napkin, like he's very process oriented, inventor, kind of quiet. So he draws this thing out, holds it up on the napkin. I'm like, we could build that, we could sell that. So we got a prototype made, took it to an Ace Hardware store, did a little demo, and they're like, oh my God, like we would buy that. Do you have some to buy? I'm like, no, like here's a prototype. We have to figure out how to make it. So long story short, we invest, tens of thousands of dollars into this thing, and we just getting doors slammed in our face in terms of production. We got it into the big box stores. We were in Ace Hardware, Sherwin-Williams, regionally, getting paid slow, right, and a little. And we're like, man, do we shut this thing down? And then we're like, let's go on Amazon. Let's go online. And the minute we did that, we saw that Amazon engine start turning. And, we're sitting here 12 years later with it on the market and just looking at, that at face values. Like we got fired from a job, right? We could have cried about it, but we figured something out, and then everybody told us it would never happen. So I think just the fact that we turn around and sell that, right? Not that even the dollars of what we sell it for matter, but that was a huge risk, where every time we kept stepping into it, it seemed like we were digging a deeper hole, and then it finally turned profit. And, it took about a decade.
See, persistence right there. Persistence matters.
Yeah. And, but at some point, I always say too, like there's a certain point where I think there's got to be a jump off, right? And I was like, we were getting pretty close to that, but you could be just days away from that, and then it hits, and you have to determine when that is, right? You've seen the little drawing, right? The guy digging the tunnel. He's been digging, and there's just a foot over, there's the big pot of gold. So yeah. And then I think the other big lesson from that is knowing when you can't take something any further than you've taken it, and you've got to call somebody else in. Oh yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. And you've got to bring somebody else in or some other resources in to take it or, or sell it. Like there's, I've never sold a company before. So this is new. There's like, it's a little baby that we created. Now it's going away.
Matt, this has been awesome speaking with you. Audience, thanks for chiming in. Bird, Jake, thanks for jumping in and getting great questions to Matt and keeping us moving here. And Matt, what's the best way for people to get in contact with you?
Yeah, best way, everything you can find on mattshoup.com.
So right there, it's going across the bottom of the screen right now is his website there. And he has the tools are on there as well. If you go there, just I think it's a 2-question form you fill out, and you send your free tools, whatever you're looking for. It's a great resource for anyone that's out there, marketing, leadership, entrepreneurial, storytelling. It's all on there. So look them up and check them out, and maybe get him to be on your show as well.
Would love it. And when you're in this area, man, you're in the Denver, Northern Colorado area, we'll get you out in the studio. Love to have you.
Definitely. Hopefully I can. That's where our radio station is, right there in Denver. Right outside Denver is a About Face radio station. So that's where we're based out of. So hopefully one day I get to go out there and actually see the actual station.
I love it. That would be great.
Matt, again, this has been great. Any last words for the audience?
Just whatever you've got going on, whatever you're working on, reach out to people, ask for help. What I've found in my journey is there are so many people willing to help and share and just take what they've learned and pour that into other people. So I'd encourage you to do that. And then when you get to a place in your journey, wherever and whatever it is that you have something to share, don't feel like you're not far enough along or you need to be more of something. Just go share and help somebody and just keep that cycle of contribution going.
Outstanding. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah. Thanks, Rich.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Did you serve in the military? If so, you can obtain a free lifetime pass to more than 2,000 federal recreation sites. These sites are located across more than 400 million acres of public lands, including national parks, wildlife refuges, and forests. The lands host activities to fit any lifestyle: hiking, biking, fishing, camping, and much more. Gold Star families are also eligible for these free lifetime passes. Plus, they cover entrance fees for a driver and all passengers in a car, or up to 3 additional adults at sites that charge per person. Obtaining one is easy. Just go to the National Park Service website, nps.gov, or the National Park Service app.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com to catch up on all of our episodes and also to get some of that great Misfit Nation gear. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are